Hey guys, what's up, and welcome to the first episode of What They Don't Tell You. I'm your host, Jacob.
And I'm Aiden, and we're here to give you our perspective on news, facts, and culture, and what we believe is true about them.
In today's episode, this is our first episode. I hope you guys enjoy. We also have our social media accounts. We'll link those down in the description, as well as just shorts on our channel. So go check those out. It'd be much appreciated. So let's run down our topics for the day. Are you ready, Aiden?
I'm ready.
All right. So we have 3 topics for today. We didn't want to go heavy on our first episode, but we are going to be looking at the Diddy trial with Jonathan Oddi, as well as...
We don't want to go heavy. Let's start with Diddy. All right, for real, though.
All right. And then we have Joe Biden's cancer, as well as we're going to be talking about Bill Belichick and his interesting girlfriend. So, Aiden, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so really basic stuff to start us off. Obviously, we all know what's happened with Diddy, all the crap that's gone on, and I'm not going to go super heavy into detail. You guys can figure that out for yourselves. But basically, he is on trial right now, and someone, and that someone being Jonathan Oddi, was arrested in 2018 after shooting a chandelier, I believe, in the Trump golf course.
It was a
area. It was a club.
Okay. It was a club.
Okay, cool. Not super detailed in that, but he revealed that he was paid by Diddy to essentially do stuff with this girlfriend. Yeah. Weird, obviously, but not the weirdest thing Diddy has done.
And if I might mention, it was a $5 million contract. This was legit. This wasn't under the table pay. This was a legitimate $5 million contract.
There's under the table pay later, though. Mm-hmm. Basically, what he revealed was that after kind of working with him and doing this, is that he, to protect himself, taped some of these things and used it kind of to blackmail Diddy to make sure that he was protected, and that actually Cassie, who was Diddy's girlfriend, was protected as well. Yeah, at the time, was protected as well. And to get into more of what he revealed that something that a lot of people have trouble maybe thinking about or even wanting to think about is that Diddy may have been a low-level part of a deeper conspiracy. He let some information out about the Bohemian Gardens, including which is in California. If you guys don't know, I think Southern California is where this place is located. And it's a club for elites to bring. It's originally all male, but you can bring whoever you want. And he spoke about some things like satanic cults happening, like different groupings for like pedophilia, animal sacrifice, a bunch of different things. Crazy, crazy stuff. That is for you to decide, but I think we should kind of dive into what we think is true about these statements, especially in light of Cassie now saying that he is absolutely right, all this did happen. How does that how should that make us think about what else he said?
So I want to dive into Cassie real quick. So this was actually, she came out, and this was only recently. All this happened almost a decade ago, if not more, and she just came out now. She actually has almost a full book of just things she went through with her therapist, talking about like the trauma and stuff like that. And but what you were saying about the cults and stuff like that, like, and talking about like that'll get into like what happened with RFK and the shootings with Trump, just kind of showing, and like Jonathan Oddi, how he went and shot at the Trump club. Like what he said was he was making a statement because he was overhearing what he was hearing at these parties that Diddy was throwing on, right? Like overhearing stuff that he, like, what was going to happen, like this cult that he was a part of was possibly going to try and assassinate Trump, which we actually did see last year. What are your thoughts on all that?
I mean, it's really interesting, right? We got this guy that comes in, randomly decides to start shooting up stuff, and then claims it's for a statement. Now, most people would go ahead and label that as, okay, this dude's insane, lock him up, whatever. But the fact that now he has been considered, somewhat reliable witness after Cassie's called him out, it makes things a lot more interesting, especially when you consider the assassination things that did happen. And as you mentioned, I think you meant to say JFK there, not RFK, but that's all right.
Oh my god.
Yeah. No, you can't. But JFK, yeah. So he obviously he was killed very similarly to how they were kind of trying to take out Trump, right? I mean, bullet to the head kind of deal there.
To the head, and
yeah.
I personally, and like with the Trump situation, I don't know how you view it, but I really do believe that God protected Trump with
absolutely
in that situation, just because we would be in like honestly, I believe that we would be in World War III if Kamala or Biden was in office right now, and we'll get into Biden in a little bit.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think that's what I don't care what side you're on. It's a little. I do want to find some common ground. I mean, I truly do believe in God. I believe the Christian principles of this country are really important to acknowledge. And I do believe that I don't agree with everything Trump does, but I agree that I think he prevented some potentially pretty bad things. But to move past that, 'cause that's not our topic right now, Jonathan Oddi, in revealing this, brings up some interesting questions. And those questions are just kind of how deep does corruption go in any given country, and how should we be looking at this? Because what's really interesting about America is that we all have this perspective that our government is transparent with us. And we'd like that idea to be true. Whereas somewhere in Russia, people always assume the government isn't being transparent with them. Mm-hmm. And so it's easier, I would argue, for corruption to take place in America because the people always assume that they are being told the absolute truth. And what's really interesting is when you look at the CIA, it was originally founded when the Bohemian Gardens opened, which is where Jonathan Oddi talked about all these things happening. We think about Epstein, we think about JFK. What kind of do you think? And I know this is a really, really hard conspiracy theory to wrap your brain around, but do you think this could have anything to do with like an Illuminati type background corruption, like a one world order kind of thing, or do you think that's too far fetched?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past anybody, especially with these Epstein files being leaked and stuff like that. And I think that's a topic for a different day, maybe. But just some of the things that we found out, and just there's too much gray area to be for sure. But I could definitely see it happening.
And I just think that's the big issue, right? The gray areas where they kind of want to keep you, right? I think one of the things for me is that I always want to feel like, oh, this can't be true. Too far, too, broad a conspiracy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say that, But what I think part of that comes with is that people have kept you really comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you don't want to have to assume these things. Like, because even when I'm speaking these words, like, oh, what if there's, like, a background group, like an Illuminati, like this corruption going on, even part of my brain is just like, really, though? Like, do I want to believe that? Because I don't want to. I don't want to believe that. Because
you don't want to have to deal with the consequences.
I don't want to have to deal with the consequences of that.
And I feel like that's that's a problem in America, that people feel like they don't want to have to deal. They want to be comfortable. They don't want to get out of their comfort zone and even talk against the other side that they don't agree with. Things like that, where we have to do that to be able to stay a good and like a country that will be transparent with us and vote people that will actually want to tell us what's happening. And I get like even the president doesn't know everything that's happening in the government, and like we can talk about deep state for hours if you want, but like. There has to be a level of transparency that the people know what's happening in their country.
Exactly, and I think we kind of lost that. If you guys look at, and this has actual source material, because I get it, a lot of these conspiracies are dealing with, and personally, on a personal level, I do want to believe it. I do kind of believe it's true after looking at some of the evidence. But if you don't, and that's perfectly okay, I think just at least acknowledging that there's a lot of issues that we don't really see the full picture to, and really should see the full picture too, because at the end of the day, we forget that these representatives aren't just political figures. They're here to be, they're us. They're to represent the people and our values and our desires. And to even look at things that actually happened, if you are, skeptical about these things, I do think it would be good at least to start reading about something like Project MK Ultra that the CIA started, and we have actual files on, which I mean, just opens up a whole other can of worms that we can get into at some other point. But just, it's really interesting that a lot of these people, I will also say, are tied in with, like, satanic cults, like this guy's saying. Because if this rings with any truth, we obviously know Epstein has some satanic ties too. And I just think it's actually a testament to me, and maybe a lot of people out there, that there is a form of evil that can take place and root in this country on a spiritual level, whether you believe in that or not. I just think that it happens.
It's just there's a higher level of it's not just what we're doing on here. A lot of people believe that it's like everything's about politics. No, there is a spiritual battle that's going on, and most people don't. For instance, most people that don't believe in a faith, even it doesn't matter what it is. It could be Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, whatever it is. If they don't want to believe in a faith, they just don't want to believe in that something's happening, like a spiritual battle, and they just don't want to have to accept that.
And faith. I'm willing to discuss and talk to these people because I don't mind it. Like if you're in our audience right now and you think these things, we're still here. Like we just want you to join us, listen, think, hear what we think because. Give your opinions, like
dude, we're listening. We want to listen to you.
Exactly, opinions. It's on a really basic level. What I do want people to acknowledge, at least about Christianity, is that we want the same things you want. We want some peace, we want prosperity, and we want to pretty much to live a comfortable life. And sometimes when it comes to this stuff, we have to acknowledge what I think are some hard truths just about people in our society and how we can make it a better place. Through our own actions. And so another question I kind of wanted to bring up is so if Diddy is connected with this, and this is all the stuff that's been going on for who knows how long, and hopefully not long because it's kind of sickening to think about, but what do you think are some other, I don't want to say key players, but who do you think is involved in this? Because I know that the Clintons are involved with Epstein. I know that they're involved in the Bohemian Gardens. And so that would lead to some of that. But there's the Obamas even are in a lot of stuff. But who do you think, like, on a face level, because there's probably people we don't even know about, but on a basic level, if we're to accept this as true, who do you think are some of the key players on the chessboard, if you will?
I know a big part of this whole scandal, Usher, an artist, he was in a lot of this, just different people. I'll have a list here. I can give it to you in a second.
Sure.
If you want to, I'll try and find it for you in a second. But, like,
sure.
Again, like, Jonathan Oddi is a big part of it. He was the one that had to basically got paid by Diddy to do stuff. Usher, he was a big involvement. Heard that he possibly did something to that effect. We also hear like Obamas, the Clintons, people like that. We also heard like Justin Bieber was actually sort of involved in it.
Yeah.
He's supposedly, allegedly, he stayed away from it, but
I think there's a whole other set of issues there. I think that kid is probably pretty scarred by what went on. Obviously, a huge amount of issues there too.
If you're following, he's been in the news lately. He's just a lot of stuff with his producers, just taking advantage of him. He's actually allegedly Justin Bieber's actually came to the Christianity faith, and his wife Haley. They've tried to stay out of the media as much as possible. But apparently he was involved in that several years back. But
sure.
I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, and that's the problem is they keep it a lot of speculation. And what I want people to approach this with at least is in what we've lost in this country. And I do want to say this, and I truly believe what we've lost in this country is some critical thinking skills. So that's really basic, you guys. If you just step out of the door today and in the news you hear and the constant influx of information that comes at us from phones and other people, everything you hear, whether you agree with it or not, it just take it critically. I mean, even the things I hear that I like, I take it critically because I want to analyze it and realize and make my own decision about it, not just follow the masses. And so, even hearing like about these topics, like, okay, base level, here's what the media tells you, now where are you going to take it from there? So my initial thought with anything in the media is, okay, if this is true, then what? Then make 1 + 1 = 2, right? So does this add up? First of all, I mean, just think critically about everything you hear. Is this true? What are the connotations if it isn't true? Again, does 1 + 1 = 2? Because at the end of the day, it always should if it's true, right? So look at stuff and make it add up. And to me, just seeing with Diddy and all these things, I think in this situation, 1 + 1 does = 2 because it just seems very odd that
there's too many things,
too many coincidences, right? Yeah. I mean, that's what it seems like to me.
And a lot of people, I feel like And I know he's just like any other like pop star right now. Like big fans, they don't want to have to accept that. Like if I was a big fan of him, I had a poster on my wall or whatever. I don't want to accept that. Oh, I don't know. Could this be true? Could this not be true? I don't want to accept it. But, even from it's hard to accept stuff like this from a biased standpoint, especially like people like athletes, superstars that you hear of these stories and people like that get in trouble when you're like, I don't want to accept this. He was my favorite player. I have all of his jerseys in the back or whatever.
Yeah.
You really have to do your research and just figure out what, and like if you find enough research and you can convince me that you believe what you're saying about this not being true, then show me the evidence and I might actually believe you. But you have to do the reseach for yourself just to know that.
And so that's a really good point. Like, just to lay some really basic groundwork. We know the Diddy parties were true. We've had at least, maybe not us personally, but we've had confirmed lawyers and judges talk about the files of tape. All the recordings that went on. I think we can definitely affirm that something happened, right? Like, let's conclude that he's not an innocent party here at all. So we can conclude that
Hollywood and in the music industry, nobody's innocent.
No, not really, and it's really sad actually. But I we'll get into it in a second. I guess something else, but to lay some basic groundwork, we know he's not innocent. We know that this dude was arrested. We know that he was arrested not for shooting someone, but just for shooting a chandelier. And so which is already a little weird in some ways. You could call someone like that mentally unstable for sure. It's deviant and dysfunctional behavior. As a psychologist might say, but and so they lock him up, and it's weird later though to give further evidence and flesh the story out that Cassie, Diddy's girlfriend, that confirms all this, so we know at least the background of him being with her, and being paid to do these things with her, it is true. So we can affirm that is true from an eyewitness statement of who it happened to. So we know that's true. Then to lay out another fact, we know that a fact of him, not a fact necessarily of what he said, but right now we have a basis of him telling the truth. He's saying that these things happened in Bohemian Gardens, and so then we have to either acknowledge that these things might be happening or deny that things might be happening. And right now, I will admit, we don't have any concrete evidence of that other than our previous biases and assumptions. And I will tell you that. I can't be sure of this, but part of me always wants to think, they want us not to be sure. Right, so we got this place that could have all these cults and rituals and stuff, and I'm like, okay, we know the first thing he said is true. We have that corroborated by this girl, and now he's making another accusation, and we also know that he said that Trump was going to get shot, and that did happen. I mean, and so you could argue, by that assumption of logic that okay, we have truth multiple times. What's preventing him from telling the truth again? And that's really my only basis for it. I don't have more sources. I couldn't tell you.
And I know this is far-fetched, and you always go down these rabbit holes, but maybe he's getting paid by somebody to tell the truth for certain things, and then lie about the big thing that will keep. Yeah.
And again,
from safe and stuff like that.
Critical thinking skills in some ways too, right? Like look at all the angles. Don't leave one, right? Look at all the angles for everything. But right now we do have some evidenced things, and then our previous biases, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because we know that these industries tend to have a level of corruption to them because they put themselves as higher than common class society. Mm-hmm. If one of us were to do these things, we would probably be on death row right now. And so we know how this kind of tends to go and how people can start to view themselves as better, and why I don't really like politics in general. I mean,
it's also scary because these things can happen and not be known about.
I know
the Lucky, for instance, where this is mainstream. Yeah. A lot of this goes untouched, and a lot of it gets away with it, and a lot of victims don't get help the way that they
just
deserve.
The human trafficking and stuff, and that's just why it no matter who you are, where you're at, or what you believe, your heart does have to go out to some of these people, because the victims of this, it's horrific, really. I mean, it should never happen, especially, we've lost in our culture, I think, a lot of just the at least masculine desire to protect, and what people often forget about is, as much as I do still stand by some of what the feminist stuff says, I still don't always agree. I'm always going to treat women, especially with that respect and that acknowledgement that still is deserved. And I don't think that protection aspect of masculinity should go away. I think that each person, especially just males in the room, like step up for the people around you. And if this would happen there'd be less of this.
There was a story. So it was a girl. She was coming home. It was late at night. She came into her apartment.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of these. It was a big city. It might have been Chicago or something. Not to be surprised. But a big city. And these apartments, they're sketchy. You know, they're cheap.
Sure.
Just
for sure.
get by until you can get something right. And this girl, she walks into her apartment and gets stabbed.
Yeah.
And from what the police found out, there were at least 14 people that saw what happened. Got stabbed once. The dude hid.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nobody came. 14 people. What's what the report said. 14 people saw what was happening and didn't do anything about it.
Yep.
He came back again and stabbed her 6 more times in the back. Nobody came until after the police showed up. 14 people could have helped and saved her life, but nobody did.
It's terrible. And that is what I want to. If I can affirm anything to you guys, I want to bring back the virtue of America, because what we've lost in our education systems and in our day-to-day life is the virtues that we used to hold to be true. And that virtue meant that even if it was a sacrifice or detriment to yourself, you're going to step up for someone else. And that's what we've lost through everything that's happened in these recent years and maybe planned over years and years.
Personally, that's why I respect anybody that goes into the military and goes into fight for our country.
Absolutely.
Even, like, more than, like, I like, just even more nowadays. Like, for instance, my cousin, you know him, we've talked to him before. He's going into boot camp next month. He's like, I respect him a lot for doing that, especially he's growing up in the public school system and still wants to go save our country and fight for me and you and everybody. So I respect him a lot more than you know what I mean.
And so I think to finalize things with this Diddy thing is to reaffirm that we respect people who do lay down their lives to not just serve, but you can serve every day. And the downfall of America has been our loss of virtue and care for other people. And so even if you're not a Christian, even if you don't believe in these things, that's okay. I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to respect that. And I'm also here to hopefully get you to understand that we at least used to have a view on society that each person was your neighbor. That each person is supposed to help out to build a society where everyone knows each other, where everyone helps each other, and where we can help people, even with all these mental illnesses, with the Diddy stuff. Someone needs to call it out, even if it's a detriment to themselves, and which is kind of why we're here today, to try to kind of rebuild that back in our younger generation and society, and talk about how the corruption has kind of happened years and years ago in America and how it's built over the years.
It really starts right. Like, it really starts. You don't have to wait. You don't have to be the big guy. Like, for instance, we're starting a new podcast. Like, you got to start now, because if we don't start now, it's just going to get worse and worse. The school systems are getting worse. They're not getting. Teachers are teaching things that should not be taught in schools. The Bibles are getting taken out of the school system, and it's just. And a private Christian school close to where I play baseball. I actually played baseball for them last year. Okay. The school actually got several threats, death threats, bomb threats, several different things. And like even like you would think like Christian schools and like things, even there it's just it's corrupt. Everything is just, there's nothing inside the schools that are getting like stuff like that. It's
And you know, I don't want to come at everyone with this like idea that like everything's corrupt, everything's terrible right now. Look, I'm not saying everything is. I'm just trying to bring some light to some things that are really happening and encourage everyone to I don't know, step up. I mean, the virtue thing and how the stuff has kind of leaked in places we don't want it to. Because again, even if you're not a Christian, these things matter, and I think they matter to you. So I like where this is going and what we've kind of covered. And just talking about this kind of corruption. And so I think kind of talking about corruption, we can give you the latest on the left's discarded puppet, Joe Biden, and his cancer issue right now that everyone is talking about.
So I want to say something real quick before we really dive deep into this. personally, and I know that goes same for Aiden, we don't wish bad on Joe. I mean, and his family at all. We want him to have a speedy recovery. I know it wasn't personally from my views and per Aiden's, we didn't see things eye to eye with when he was in presidency, but he is still another human, and he's still one of our brothers, and hopefully brothers in Christ, maybe not, I'm not sure. But we don't wish bad on him at all, and that's what separates us from people that just would say death on people.
Because
if Trump got cancer, I feel like a lot of people, maybe even Joe himself, would maybe wish death on Trump. And
I don't want to put that assumption on them either, because I do believe there's human principles on both sides. But really, I do want to separate. I mean, both of us, like you said, from any thinking like that. Praying for him, his family, because that's not a good thing. No matter who it is, he's a human being, and
he has kids, he has grandkids.
Yeah, it's got to be so hard.
And even I guarantee he has young grandchildren. I'm not sure what the ages of grandchildren are for him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guarantee if they're 5, 6, even 10, 12, they're not worried about politics. They're just worried that Grandpa Joe is dying. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's really tough.
We don't want to wish that on the kids or anything like that.
No, it's terrible.
And I know, we've had our differences, we've had the issues with Hunter Biden and stuff like that, but still, even him, you don't want your dad to die. So we wish prayers for the Biden family as well. But if you want to go ahead and take over for what we...
Sure, if you're cool with that. Talked a lot, so feel free to jump in at any point. But, so his cancer, he was diagnosed just a few days ago now, pretty recent news. He has prostate cancer, obviously pretty common in men overall. And his cancer was rated 9 on the Gleason, I believe. Gleason score? Gleason. I butchered the name so many times, which is...
Comment down below if you know the actual name.
If you know the actual name. If you're a doctor there, that's not stupid like us. I tried to look up the pronunciation before, but wasn't perfect. So his cancer is rated 9 on the Gleason score, which indicates a highly aggressive and very deadly form of cancer. And 9, by the way, is really high because 10 is the highest you can go. So that just to give some perspective there. What do you kind of think about, I know there's been talk about, especially just in the conservative side of things, how, Biden had cancer, they were trying to cover it up before, and I have my own thoughts on that, I'll let you kind of go first, but they were trying to cover it up so he could run for presidency, and now he got cancer and everyone saw it coming. I don't know.
Yeah, I have that on my notes right now, so I'll tell you what I think, and then I'll take your perspective as well, of course.
Sure.
So, of course, it's a 9 on the Gleason scale.
Yep, Gleason
scale. And that's very high. It's super aggressively spreading, like you said. But the thing is that this high, it takes years, 5 to 10 years to actually get this high on the Gleason scale.
Yeah.
For it to get this bad, right? And it's from what I've read. I'm not sure if this is legit or not, but supposedly you should be able to find this with a simple blood test.
Yes, I have read that too.
You can easily find this on just a simple blood test. And the scary thing is that the presidential medical staff is the top notch, best in the world. They're checking their health every single day.
Yep.
Probably taking blood at least once a week. I would assume
at that age with some of the issues that come up, probably
maybe
not once a week, but
maybe not once a week, but very, very pretty often. And just making sure you're in the best physical condition. And we could clearly tell that towards the end of his presidency, he was not at top mental stage or physical stage. And so it's just scary to think that in the doctor that works with Obama and worked with Trump, both said that this should have been caught. This was just very unprofessional, and I think that it was, like you said, I think they were trying to cover it up to have him run, and eventually, like they did, kick him out and let Kamala take over. So, what are your thoughts on it?
My only thoughts are, again, to have a critical view, right? To think critically. The only thing I could come up with was, since it is highly aggressive, to reach the level where the cancer is metastatic, meaning it's attached to the bones and you're probably not going to fully recover like it is right now. It can, if it's a highly aggressive, considering it is rated a 9 on the Gleason score. I have read some doctors' opinions, not opinions actually, I should say, professional medical articles saying that some of these prostate cancer especially can actually attach within months. As opposed to years. So that's my only thought in a blowback, if you will, against the idea of him having cancer throughout his whole presidency. Because I have read that, like, if it's highly aggressive, it can attach to your bones in, like, as short as 4 months. So if that's true, then, I mean, honestly, I would get it, right? He's not in the presidency anymore. He might not have access to the same doctors. You know, you kind of go back to your somewhat regular lifestyle, right? So tough to say for sure. Obviously it is suspicious, as you said, a little bit, you know, especially when you have already, I will admit, a biased view, you know, of what was going on, just because he had some mental things. I just think that we can acknowledge that. My grandpa worked in a hospital for a long time with dementia patients. He knows what it looks like to have that kind of memory loss thing. And so more than anything, I mean, aside from if there's any cover-ups, it's honestly, to me, it's really just kind of sad because if they knew and they didn't say anything and you're letting this dude die, you know, that's just messed up, dude. I'm sorry.
That's what I was going to get into. Like, it's really, like, it's, first off, it's just unprofessional by the medical staff.
For sure.
But also, it's just, like you said, like, it's, they could have caught it. If your stance, the 4 months thing, if it literally popped up 5 months ago, now that's possibly, that would deteriorate this thought or idea, right? But if it is true that this has been forming over 5 to 10 years and an easy blood test would have caught this, they were knowingly, and I believe that if this was true, Kamala knew, Jill knew, Hunter probably knew, all of them probably knew this, and they were forcing him to basically kill himself for what they say is the greater good, which I believe was trying to destroy the country.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's what you can really get to, right? And, and when you say destroy the country, if we want to hop into that for a second, I think what we do mean by that is very early, actually, in America. And if you read some books, you can find this out. But progressive Christianity started to pop up, you know, and with all these ideas. Originally, I wouldn't have called that a bad thing always. They had some principled ideas, some good ideas. The problem is, I think we have this idea of humanity that we evolve to this pinnacle over time, and we have to keep evolving to reach that point. And I'm just going to be honest, I don't think that's true. And for those of you Lord of the Rings fans out there, I'm going to say when we think of something like the Shire, it's something very simple, but it really supported itself and made put the people in a good community, right? The hobbits in that case, you know, for fun, we'll give that illustration. So I think what it comes down to after a while is that we have this belief that we need to keep evolving and keep creating these structured new ideas to advance all of humanity and throw it out there. And I think people really believe that. I think that there are people who believe that. So I don't want to invalidate that assumption, but I think that what it's led to is a lot of depravity in America. And so what I think we should really come back to a simpler and more transparent lifestyle.
I have this stat, if you let me read it real quick.
For sure.
So the percentage in the United States of Christians that said they were Christians, right?
Yeah.
In the 1950s, more than 95% of Americans identified as Christians.
Okay.
And then the most recent study from this article in 2020, the number had slumped to 64%.
Okay.
In 2020, and then 90% in 1970. So it's like you said, I think the key to keeping Christian morals in the U.S. and in this country to be able to stay on top and stay it's a country under God. Like this country needs to be founded on Christian principles, and I believe that this number deteriorating is just a little scary.
Yeah. And I agree with that, and I want to dive into some history stuff on another date. But to give a little bit of light to what you said, and I'm not trying to cut off if you were trying to go any further.
No, you're good. You can go.
But what I really don't want from this podcast too is like to divide like Christians, atheists, left, right. I don't really care. We're here to give you a perspective and what I truly believe is true from my own experience of life, honestly. And if you don't believe that, again, I just want to keep restating that and reiterating that, because if you don't believe that, we're mostly here to just talk. Like, we don't have any more truthful say than you do. Like you might have some really good points, and I just want to encourage that when Jacob actually just said it, and he said it really well, when we talk about Christian morals, we're not saying Christianity either. We're saying the Christian morals that you want to hold on to again, because at the end of the day, I would hope that what we believe because of our faith is what you guys want to see in your society. Justice, even like all the racism stuff that goes on. I don't want to see that. You know what I mean? If we're all brothers and sisters 100%. In Christ, I want to see that. I want to see an equal playing field. I want to see us supporting each other as brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was just going to go off what you said real quick. I heard from a pastor. He said, we're not Asian. We're not white. We're not black. We're not mixed. We're not whatever. We're not Hispanic. We're one race, and that's one race under God, one Christian faith, one Christian race is. And again, we're one child of God.
And to me, also, I think the idea of race is kind of cool. I mean, if you really wanted to get into that, just because, and I won't, get into it too much. Again, we need to save some topics. We're gonna go everything. But how boring would it be if we were all, anything, white, Asian, black. It's just, it makes it unique. And there's some terrible things that have happened because of stupid beliefs. But at the end of the day, it's interesting and it's fun and it keeps life going.
And again, I think it really it's a racism is a man-made problem.
Yeah.
A fake man-made problem, I believe.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, things like how I've heard in different tribes in different countries and different countries in general, whenever a child is born with a disability, they consider them cursed by God or cursed by the gods of whatever. Yeah. And that's not true. That's a man-made thought and man-made issue.
Agreed.
I've heard stories that this really families will lock their kids with disabilities in a basement because they think that it will bring harm to their family. Yeah. And we can get into that a different day. That's a whole nother topic for a whole other day. But just race, how racism we're talking about. It's just it's a man-made thing that's a man-made problem that's not needed. You know what I mean?
I agree. And to just kind of refocus us back onto the Biden thing, because I know we're getting off on a little bit of a tangent here, and we'll keep going because we know how we are. So just to get back to it, doctors are saying that it is hormone sensitive, meaning that we can, I think, alleviate the symptoms. From my understanding, and obviously anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, Jacob, you can correct me, or commenters, but when the cancer reaches a metastatic level, I believe that it can't fully be cured.
It can't fully be healed, yeah.
Yeah, but saying it's hormone sensitive just means that they can alleviate any symptoms you may have with that. But unfortunately, I think it's kind of something that'll lead to terminal.
I believe it's not. Yeah. It's not going to be curable. It's not. It's not especially at this level. It's not something that's very easily came back by. I think. Yeah. That's the word.
True.
And again, how old is Joe Biden? Do we know?
We know, but I don't know personally, but yeah, I think we know.
Let's find out real quick.
Yeah.
He's 82, right?
Okay.
So 82. That's pretty old. The average age for a male is 77 now, something like that.
74, I think, actually
74. That's so most people, if you're not murdered, stabbed in the back, or shot, you die from cancer. It's
that's kind of true.
That's basically how you die. So I get he's getting old. He's 8 years already past the male average, which is,
if that is still the average.
If that is still the average, I can get that in a second. But just he's gonna die eventually, right? He's not immortal, and so eventually, I think it's gonna be cancer, and this might be the one that ends him. But it's just
no, I agree. It's an extremely aggressive form of cancer, and if we want to hop into our last topic, can I just say Biden's cancer is aggressive, but not nearly as aggressive as Jordan Hudson's lock on Bill Belichick's life right now.
Oh boy!
If you want to
get into this, guys,
if you want to roll with this is a lighter subject, but still crazy. So I'm gonna let Jacob roll with this. He's been researching this. He knows what's up.
I'm the sports nerd. So if you guys need any sports info, I'll let you.
Or apparel. He has plenty.
Yep, jerseys are back there. Real quick, the life expectancy is 75 for a male.
Okay. 75.
So
I was one
close.
off. That's pretty close.
It's not bad. So we're gonna get into this topic real quick, guys. So Bill Belichick, right? Former New England Patriots coach, 5-time Super Bowl winner, something like that.
Yeah, I mean the wins were crazy. I'll give him that.
I personally, before he went to, where does he coach now?
I don't know. Isn't it some like?
It's
like a younger team.
North Carolina or something like that.
North Carolina, yeah.
But hey, I have it on here somewhere. I'll get it in a second. But
you good?
So he is the coach at a football college, right? And I would personally think if he would have retired after the Patriots, possibly would have been the GOAT.
Yes. I agree.
Now I think so. Here, I'll give you some highlights real quick. So career highlights: head coach of the New England Patriots from 2000 to 2023, leading the team to 6 Super Bowl victories, 2 additional Super Bowl wins, as defensive coordinator for the New York Giants, my favorite team. He also lost in the Super Bowl twice to the New York Giants, which is actually kind of funny. But so now, so he is now the football coach at the University of North Carolina, hired in December of 2024. Now, remember that in 2023, right, he was the coach of the New England Patriots. In the same year, he was seen with his ex. Do you know the name of the ex?
I don't. I can pull it up real quick. Give me one second. Just keep talking.
Here, Linda Holiday. Found it.
Linda Holiday. Perfect.
So he dated her for 16 years from 2007 to 2023, right?
Okay.
In September of 2023, Holiday was president of Bill Belichick's foundation during their relationship.
Okay.
Now they were, I believe they broke up in January of 2023. Am I correct there?
January. Yes. Yeah. Yes. When he started officially kind of going out with Hudson. Yes.
So before they broke up, he was seen with Jordan Hudson, his new girlfriend right now, which is age 24. And by the way, Bill Belichick is age 74, correct?
Yes. And hey, real quick, 2022 was when they began dating, right? That's what you're going to say, right? 2022?
Yeah. So
Cool.
Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick started dating in 2022 of May. So he was allegedly possibly cheating on Linda Holiday. And the big thing is right now that in the media and in the news that Jordan Hudson is affecting the practices at University of North Carolina. Being there, she was actually banned from practices. He got her unbanned somehow. I don't know how that happens. I'll give you a real quick rundown on Jordan Hudson. Her net worth $1 million. Born in 1999. Age is 24 years of age. Then she was born in Massachusetts, and she went to the college. Had it right here. She went to the University of Bridgewater State, and she was a pageant queen, cheerleader, etc. And yes, her boyfriend, Bill Belichick. You got any thoughts on this so far?
I mean, there's a lot of issues to debunk in Jordan's life, I think. And I think you know some of that. I'll run over one thing, a note that I kind of picked up, actually just before we logged on here, about her status, like, employment-wise. And so she allegedly, and I say allegedly because there's not a lot of info on her with the site, but she's allegedly the CEO of something called Trouble Enterprises, with their little catchy.
Good at all.
It doesn't. It's a little catchy phrase, you know, like you found trouble or I don't know something within their site.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. No one really knows what it is exactly, other than I will say it might have a few negative connotations as far as like some. I don't know, some like sexual stuff that goes on as far just little bit obscure things. I don't know. That's the full extent of my knowledge, so I'm not keeping something from you guys. But basically, that's all it says. If you go to the site, there's like some really just a few kind of weird things. It seems to me like it's basically like you can host dinners and have like people show up, like talk show people, like different things. Again, that's the extent of my knowledge. Not a lot of info on it. Not even info that she's the CEO. So I'm assuming she is. Maybe her parents run it or something, because it was founded in 2014 before she could become the CEO. She would have been 10 at the time.
Before we say with the parents thing, do you have any information on that?
I know about it, but I think I'm gonna let you run with it because this is your jam, bro.
Let's not get into that right now.
Sure.
I will.
Okay.
I'll link a couple videos that'll explain more in the description. But basically, I believe that this. So, like, the big question though is this going to hurt Bill Belichick's legacy?
Right.
Possibly being an NFL Hall of Fame coach. And what this is going to affect for just his face, like his image in general. And also another thing that like people have been talking about, like he was invited to be doing an interview on a book that he was releasing, right?
Yeah.
And the interview people did not specifically say this was just about the book, correct?
Correct.
And they just said, hey, we just want to have an interview. We want to talk to you, just kind of talk about the book, but we also want to just talk to you and stuff like that. Well, apparently Jordan Hudson is Bill Belichick's manager, quote unquote. So whenever he was asked about how they met and how all that stuff got started, she actually interrupted the interview. I believe, was it live? I'm not sure.
I think it was live. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, let us know in the comments about that. But it literally interrupted it to say, no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the book. No, stop. And so, just that's a little sketchy right there. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't know about that. It's a little weird. Just thinking, is there something there that we're missing? Is there something legal that's in that situation?
I don't know legal issues. And again, let's put some critical thinking into this. Like, so we know that he could have been cheating on her, maybe. So maybe it's more of a public reflection, like she doesn't want to have the shame issue, you know, with potential what social media will go crazy with, you know, if it gets like leaked. So that could be one really like surface level issue. Another issue could be, I don't know, because you said his past girlfriend, was it? He wasn't like engaged or anything, was he?
Dating for 16 years.
Dating for 16 years.
2 kids actually too.
Okay. So you said she was kind of a manager then. Okay, so she kind of ran some things. So I don't know, maybe if she has any like actual legal ties to his organizations, maybe there's some legal issues there if he had another girlfriend or broke up with her or whatever that is. So maybe Jordan doesn't want that in front of the camera. Or maybe, I mean, if we really just want to, I mean, what I would hope to is if we can just afford her also some common human trait is that you don't just want your relationship leaked all over the internet anyway. I could respect that if that's the simple case. It does seem like there's something underlying,
but it's just like, also it's a 48-year age gap, and that's just
that's nuts.
That's the thing that's like, if it was a regular relationship, the same age or around the same age, I would get, okay, we don't want everything all over social media, but like,
right,
with this, it's just a little too sketchy to know.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And so we'll see.
Yeah. And if so it's just kind of hard to watch, honestly, because I don't know if you've seen some of the practice videos and stuff, but she like pulls up his pants during practice. I mean, it does seem like she's treating him like a toddler because he's getting old, and I mean, she's 24 years old, and it kind of seems like one of those things where it's like,
could be her grandpa.
He could be like a great grandpa, dude. I mean, I'm serious, dude. I'm 17. There's a small age gap between me and her. Think about that. We're closer in age to her than she is to this dude. And I have a great grandpa that almost has the same age gap that she would have with this dude. And so it is weird. I'm not saying it doesn't happen or can't happen. I don't even know if I negatively look at it, but it's weird, right? It's not something that we normally
and personally, I feel like
attracted to. I mean, let's be honest, right?
Yes,
yeah, like
also, I feel like it's just it's more for and look at it. Bill Belichick's an NFL multi-million-dollar coach.
Right.
And it's a little sketchy whenever you do something like that.
Absolutely. It's sketchy, too, because you're like multi-million-dollar. Does she want inheritance? You know what I mean? Like what's she gunning for here? Because let's be honest, that happens. If you're a young hot girl, like, sure, maybe you're not attracted to him, but that $1 million looks really nice, So it's that's where it does seem like
the big house and the
that's
cars
hurtful too, yeah. But that's hurtful too because it shows the relationship might not really be, and that's why this is so sketchy. That she's not dating some 84-year-old regular guy off the street. That's one thing. She's not trying to. Then she's not. It doesn't look like she's trying to inherit like millions of dollars or the cars and the houses. Then it's just like, okay,
Agreed.
Maybe she just really likes him, and that's whatever. Like that's her choice. I don't really care.
I'm perfectly fine with that. But
yeah, whatever. Like
if not, then it gets a little sketchy, gray areas, and also
it does
personally. For Bill Belichick, it hurts his career.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
His legacy in the NFL, and also possibly I guarantee he could be a Hall of Fame at UNC coach
easily. Easily.
If he's the best, one of the best coaches of all time, and he could be a GOAT at UNC. Definitely going to the Hall of Fame, but with this, I don't think they're going to do it. Especially the look with UNC. I'm surprised.
No, they don't want the controversy.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they let Bill Belichick go next year after all this controversy and just
assuming
or at least when his contract's up.
Right, and I think if we want to hop into it now, I would say what could have definitely shaped Jordan is her childhood, and we have some really interesting things with her parents and things that I will say. I don't blame her for in that sense, but just things that are going to. When you walk into life with people showing you this stuff or running these things and your own parents are supporting it, you might have some weird, I don't want to say perversions, but just issues
your
with this
point
kind
of
of
view
stuff.
Is you don't
skewed.
see it wrong.
Right, and so if you kind of want to talk about this, and I can hop in where you need me to, but some things her parents have done and run, if you get where I'm going with that. Catch my drift.
Basically, they ran
a sex shop, basically.
Yeah, basically, and it was like Jordan was in it.
Yes.
From an early age, running it and helping, not actually, but just little things. You know what I mean?
Yes,
just
and
cleaning up and mopping the floors and dust off the shelves and stuff like that, and just. And what the news said is that her parents support the relationship, and I think probably for several reasons, but one being the money, and two, just how they grew up and how they started off. Yeah,
because I think, and something I do want to touch on is I think the boyfriend she had before this was actually also very old, if I recall. So this is a recurring theme.
I think it was 54.
Yeah, so it is a little bit of a recurring theme. I'll give her that. It does seem odd that this happened, though.
Do you know if he was
successful? No.
Yeah.
I don't.
We'll update you.
We'll run an update next episode or whatever.
But yeah, just a little weird. So
definitely weird. And I just want to say, when you're growing up with that, and I don't know, to those psychologists out there too, the different developmental things that happen as you grow up are really affected by these environments, and this probably isn't a healthy environment for a child, right? No matter what stage you look at, even if you look at something that's a little bit been discounted, but Freud's original stage, right? Because as you grow up, you go through these different stages and have to wrestle through certain things, in your psyche or whatever, and have to wrestle through the connotations that a business like this would have. It's not a healthy environment, right? You're not moving through healthy progressive stages. I would even argue that this can create even a hostile environment, because when your brain as a child produces a stress hormone or goes into that protective stage that maybe someone like Jordan would feel it when introduced to this too early. It actually stops your brain from developing normally, which is kind of what you can see in kids that end up in therapy at early ages. Is their brain stops because when your protective system turns on, when that adrenaline system turns on, the part of your brain that actually learns and builds relationships with other people shuts off. It stops working for years, potentially at a time, meaning you can't move through those stages of development no matter what stage of development you subscribe to. So I'm gonna let kind of Jacob walk through the last little bits of this, but it's just not a healthy environment for a child, obviously.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what you just said there. It's just, so the big thing is what is she? Is she his boyfriend, or is she is his manager?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's another scary thing where we're talking about, like, is she in for the money? What is it? Like, I think she really showed her true colors through being saying she's the quote unquote manager. Like, I don't even think Bill has actually stated that she is.
Right.
But I think it's really just not great for her look, and also for Bill Belichick's look as a NFL coach, and also just a person in general.
Right.
But I really think that's mostly it for today. Do you have anything else you want to say?
I mean, not really. Do we want to kind of walk through what our hope is for the next podcast with our a little questionnaire idea?
Yeah, sure. So with this being the first podcast, we're going to not do it this episode, but from starting next episode in, I don't know, probably every episode, we'll be asking you guys to show us or comment down below what your question is that you'd like us to answer. It could be on any topic, anything that's relatively appropriate.
Right.
And so we'll do our best to answer it and give our perspective on it.
Yeah.
And that'll be kind of like our first topic for each week, is what comment we got last week, right? So if you guys want to drop a comment down below and let us know what you would like us to answer next week.
Yeah, and it can be like a personal question too. Like, not a personal question, but it could be. I mean, I don't really care. I'll answer to the best of my ability, depending on what it is. But like, it could be a question like what our thought was, like, for our own question was like, what do you think of, like, high school dating, or just anything like that, like simple little things throughout life. And I'll let you talk about that.
That's going to be a topic we're going to talk about later on. I'm not sure when. Hopefully
Yep.
soon. But next week, if you also have a specific topic you guys want us to talk about, that's not a question,
Absolutely.
let us know. And just our thoughts on what we talked about today, drop it in the comments below. You also go check out all of our other accounts. We got ADcast and JDcast as well. We also started a new Flip. That's a new social media app that's been kind of, it's a crazy flipping app. So go check that out. It's brand new.
What the flip, Jacob? Why would you say that?
Sorry, man. But yeah, let us know down in the comments below what you think about it. Go check it out, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Okay. Yeah, I do like a fade out.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.
That went well. I liked it. We're still recording too.
I was just. I know.
Yeah.
That went really